You got my modeling questions, and I got the answers. Welcome to another episode of Fix My 3D Model. In the video coming up. What's going on, you 3D modeling beast? This is JL Mussi, and welcome to another episode of Fix My 3D Model, where you send me your 3D models that you're struggling with, and I will fix them for you. My man Mahir, hopefully I'm saying his name right, hit me up on an email and shot me his model of a Sony Walkman MP3. But he was actually struggling with the radial part, or the radial inset, where those buttons are coming from. So I took a look at the model, decided to help him, and make this video to actually help you guys out as well if you're struggling with circular insets, especially on a curved surface. And the hard surface modeling workflow that I'll be showing you is how to look at an object and really break it down into patterns, or more specifically, modular pieces. So really we're gonna dissect this, and we're not gonna model every inset on its own. We're only gonna look at the pieces where we could actually extract and model that one time. And that's not only gonna speed up our modeling workflow, but it's gonna ensure that every piece is exactly the same. Last video in the series got close to 500 likes within the first 48 hours. I think you guys could actually do better and smash that record. So let's actually shoot for 1,000 likes in the first 48 hours. Also, if you drop a comment within the first hour of the video being published, I will actually reply to every single comment within that first hour, no matter how long that takes me. And lastly, make sure to download your copy of the Hard Surface Modeling Cheat Sheets, which is a great companion piece to all my 3D modeling videos. And you could actually download that free guide using this link right here. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'll go ahead and just name this original, hit H to hide it, and then on the perspective, I really don't like to show these image planes, so I'll go under show and I will take off the image planes, and that way that's clear. But they'll also be available here within my orthographics. As usual for my tutorials, I don't cover how to access every single tool, and if I don't show you how to access that tool, I will be dropping a callout card in the bottom. So if you're new with that feature or that tool and you don't know how to access it, you'll have an idea with that callout. So let's go ahead and begin here. What I'm going to do is, we can see that this shape has this circular shape right here, right? This bend. So we're going to go ahead and start with a cylinder. So I'll create a cylinder here and just kind of move this into place like this. And then also, we're going to go ahead and start with these three buttons here. So I'll take this and just scale it down right about here. So we're going to work on one of these, like I said, modularly, and then actually duplicate this here and here to create the rest of this three button setup. One thing that I want to go ahead and point out is that if we hit the attributes here, I'm hitting Control A, and we go to our cylinder, our poly cylinder, this is 20. And this is something that I see beginners actually struggle with quite a bit, is actually using more resolution, especially if you have a mesh that has a lot of cutouts, a lot of detail, anything that's really rounded. You want to actually start out with a little bit more geometry. So let's actually bump this up to 32. That's actually going to give us about 16 here on half of this, and that feels about right. So what I'll do is I'll go in here, and the first thing that I like to do is enable the multi-cut tool. I'll do Control middle mouse click. That's going to drop a loop right in the middle. And basically what I'm looking for initially when I set this up is pretty much almost like a bullseye, right? Meaning I want pretty much this center vert right here to line up with the center of this radial. So I'm going to scale this a little bit further up. The next thing that I like to do is actually really just section off where this inset geometry is going to be, right? And for that, I'm going to need 2 more edge loops. So what I can do is select these rings. You could scoop them up like this, or you can select one, hold down Shift, and you see that it'll actually select the loop of rings. And I can do that again. We can go to the modeling toolkit here, and we could actually use the connect tool. And what the connect tool is, whatever ring you have actually selected, it'll actually drop a loop in between them. And you see that's perfectly even. And now that these two are created in the same place, we could just take them, and then with the scale tool, we could just scale up, right? So now you see that we have these loops pretty much sectioning this off. The last thing that I'll do is I'll switch to face mode, hold down tab, and paint this selection here. And now I'm visually isolating where this inset's gonna go. So what I'll do from this point is I'll do one extrude here, right? And if we play with the offset, you see that we have kind of this extrusion. I really don't need to play with this that much because I just need this extra set of faces here where I can do shift right click, and then I'll go to circularize components. And you see that now we have this circular pattern going on. Let's actually jump here to perspective. The first thing with the circularized components is that you have to play with the twist a little bit to actually get it to line up right. And then the second thing that we want to do, obviously this looks very wonky. This is perfectly straight, but we could actually change this. So in alignment, what we can do is click this, and we want surface average. Surface per vertex might seem like it gives you a similar result, but it actually distorts that cylindrical shape, right? That's why we want to do the alignment as surface average. This is going to give us a perfect radial to match that button. So let's go ahead and bring the offset down. So we can go here to the side, and we could dial this down. You see that it perfectly matches. Now the last thing that we want to do is play with this twist here. Now a little tip here is if you find yourself going all over the place when you're scrubbing left and right, you could actually hold down Control on your keyboard, and you're actually going to get more gradual control. If you want more control, you hold down Control and Shift, and now we have even more control of that slider. So let's go ahead and extrude this one more time. We'll give this an offset like so. And then from here, we pretty much have this little ridge here that we could sell the illusion that these are separate pieces, right? If you want to model these and you had an animation to do, you're welcome to separate this. In my case, I'm just going to sell the illusion that it's two separate pieces, right? So what I can do is come in here and just hold down Shift and push back to extrude. Now that we have pretty much this selected, right? What we could do is do Control Shift right click to edges to edge perimeter. Well, that's going to do is actually take that loop, convert it to edges, right? And it's just going to scoop up that edge perimeter. So now we can go in and drop a bevel with two divisions, and that's going to leave that holding edge right there for us, right? So now we can go here on edge mode, select these guys, and now we can go ahead and apply a bevel. But what I'm going to do is actually select this one first, and then just give it a slight bevel like this. And then on the button, I'm actually going to give this a little bit of a harsher bevel. And let me make sure that I'm scooping all these edges up. So I'll bevel this, I'll go a little bit wider, and I'll drop another division, right? The other thing that I'll probably want to do here is I'll paint these faces. I'll grow my selection, get my move tool, and push out. And now that button is sticking out just slightly. All right, so this looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and go to 3 mode, and this is smoothing out the way it should. So from this point, let's go back to 1 mode here, and let's go ahead and gut these faces. So a nifty little trick to basically get rid of all these faces really quick is we'll select this vert here. This vert here, under select, we can go ahead and convert. So we can go to convert selection, and you see I have it hotkeyed, but what you can do is go to faces, so Control 3. So Control 3 will basically take that one vert and convert this to faces, and now we can hit delete, and that's just a quick way of scooping up these caps on these cylinders. Let's go ahead and make sure that we're actually deleting this part as well, this back part. So we'll scoop up these faces here. We'll hit delete. So I'm going to jump here to the side, hold down shift to clone this, and I'll plop this into place like so. And I'll do that one more time here and plop this into place. So let's go ahead and connect all these. So I'll take all these pieces, I'll combine them, and then I'll just scoop up these faces here and these faces here, delete these. And I'll take this range here, shift right click, I'll go to bridge. Same thing here, I'll take this range and then add this range here. Shift right click, bridge. So that's all bridged up. Take this range. I'll hold down W, hold down shift, extrude right about here. And we're gonna isolate this, pretty much this arch here as well. So we'll go ahead and drop that right about here. And then we'll do another extrusion holding down shift. So from this point, same thing. I want to visually isolate this arch here. So I'll hold down tab, scoop these up as well. And I'm not worried about this part here because it's gonna get deleted. I'm just worried about that half arch at the bottom. I'll do one extrusion. So we see that with the offset, we have those faces on top of faces. Really doesn't matter if we bring it down or not. But I'll do shift right click again, and we'll repeat that circularized components. Again, we'll give this a little bit of a twist here. Control shift just to get more control. Let's actually change the alignment to average just to get that perfect radial. And then we'll bring down the offset as well. And now we'll go ahead and play with this twist just to get it exactly where it needs to go, like so. And if you really wanted to, what we could actually do is take this range here, and this vert here pretty much is the vert that needs to stay put. Scale tool, hit D, hold down V here, and we can snap to this vert. And now that's going to allow us to just scale flat and just have a nice straight line from this point. So from here, we can just take this as promised, delete it. We'll take this range here and we'll kind of extrude right about halfway. We'll scoop up this part here, and we're actually going to duplicate this, and then we could actually connect those edges. So what we'll do is we'll go to edit mesh, and then we'll use the duplicate function. It's going to group it within pretty much this group right here. So what we can do is take this center of the pivot first. If we hold down J here, we can constrain our rotation to 15-degree increments. We can put this here. What I like to do here is actually delete the history, and then also take this out of this group that Maya likes to do. So we'll take that out of this group, we'll take that out of that group, and now we could delete that node altogether. From this point, it might just be easier to take this and then actually take this, delete it as well. We'll go to object mode, combine these, select this range here, and this range here. Shift right click, I'll go to bridge, and then we'll up the divisions here so we get a little bit of compression when we go into sub D mode. So I like how that looks. We'll take this, select this range, get our move tool. You see how our move tool is here? That's because we're editing the pivot. So once in a while, you'll need to reset this. Easiest way to do it is just hit D. That's going to enter edit pivot mode. And if you actually click outside of that manipulator, you'll see the reset function. And now that pivot is right there in the middle of that selection, which is what we want. We'll go ahead and extrude up, multi-cut tool, drop a loop right in the middle. And then for this one, we could just eyeball this section here. Again, we'll want to visually isolate that topology, where that rounded inset's going to come from. Now, one thing you notice is that this part right here is going to be very close to this edge. So in this case, what I like to do is actually give it a little bit more breathing room. So you see how we were selecting for this shape. We're going right about here. Now we're going to push out a little bit further out because this is actually a bigger shape, right? And I don't want this radial to be butted up that close to this edge. That's why I'm going out one set of edges. So with the selection here, we'll go ahead and give this one extrude, a small offset, shift right click. We'll go to circularize components. We'll go ahead and give this a alignment of surface average. We'll bring down the radial offset, holding down control. And then we'll go ahead and twist this. And now I can just take this edge here and scale it and flatten that out as well. Let's go ahead and take care of this last inset right here. So what we'll do is a similar process. We'll take these faces here, and then we will go ahead and duplicate them. It's going to give me pretty much this hierarchy. So first thing that I'll do is actually delete the history. That'll get rid of that transform node. And then now I can go ahead and just drag it out of that group. I'll hit delete here. And now what we can do is take this guy. We'll center the pivot. Move it into place. Right about here. I'll hit F to frame. We could actually close all these guys out. And I can go in here and just delete all these. We could always reintroduce them later if we need it. So now we'll take these verts. We'll move them up. Now I'll go with the multi-cut, control middle mouse click. That's going to drop a loop right in the middle. I'll go ahead and take both of these meshes. I'll combine it. Select these edges here. We'll bridge. Take this edge loop here, extrude down, multi-cut, just add a loop there just to get a little bit of compression. So let's go ahead and build out these buttons here. For this button right here, we're actually going to model that cavity as a separate piece. So we'll take this and then we'll just extrude inward like this. And actually what I'll do is I'll duplicate these pieces here again to create the button. So what we'll go ahead and do is go back to edit mesh. We'll go back to duplicate. Same old story. Delete the history here. Take both of these out of this group and then delete this poly surface. So what I'm going to do here, since I want a little bit of a gap, I'm going to take these faces. I'll go ahead and do an extrude and give this an offset. And the extrude is going to cause some nasty geometry here. It's actually giving me thickness. You can see that going on here, but really I'm getting that gap. So now we can take these faces, do to edge perimeter, right? And we could just run a detach command. Now we can double click these and delete, and we pretty much have our button here with the offset, or pretty much that little gap that we wanted. What I'll go ahead and do is come in here and just take this top part and bring it down right about here. And again, we can delete this. And then with the multi-cut, we'll drop a loop right here in the middle. So now we can go in and extrude. And what I'm going to do is with this manipulator here, you see that we could actually change it. You see that it's actually now pointing straight out. So this gizmo, let's actually shrink this down. I'll hit minus here on my keyboard. I'll hit this button here. You see that's now straightened out. So now we could actually push straight out like this. So with these faces here, we'll just do two edges, two edge perimeter. Drop a bevel here. And some of these shapes, if I want to give it a hard bevel here, or just kind of a harder edge, what I'll do is I'll do an initial bevel. And then I'll go ahead and re-bevel that. And I'm not really looking at the reference that much here. I'm just kind of freestyling it as far as the design. But I am pretty much looking at the blueprint still. I'll go to wireframe here and just scoop up these edges from the back. I'll do a bevel with 2 divisions. So that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and take care of this guy here. And this is another button. For this, since it pretty much fills out that whole cavity, we can pretty much do the same workflow as before. So I think the quickest way of applying this is going here to the side, scooping these faces up here, these faces up here. Do control, right click, two edges to edge perimeter. We'll go ahead and bevel this just to give it that little panel line. We'll go in and we'll take this guy here and this guy here. Move tool, hold on shift, we'll extrude inward. We'll do control right clicks to edge perimeter. Now we have, if we go wireframe, right? We have that little area that's kind of hard to get into, right? That's why I kind of do these quick selection tricks. We'll do a bevel, two divisions, and now we have pretty much that holding edge that we need pretty much in that cavity to hold that up, right? And then usually for the bevels outside, I like to just manually give it that bevel because I like to go a little bit wider on these. So again, we'll bevel, two divisions, a little bit wider on that. And then same thing with the buttons. I can just scoop up this loop here. And anytime that you have kind of this edge here, that's why this loop is actually stopping from just going all the way around. So just keep that in mind. All right, so just holding down shift, double clicking, just getting the rest of that, bevel that out like this, another division. So let's go ahead and cap this out. I'll select this range here. Do one extrusion, shift right click, merge collapse, merge to center. We want to basically scale from this vert. So what we'll do is select this, hold down D, V, we'll vert snap here, scale, we'll scale flat, and there it is. Right? And then we'll go ahead and repeat the same process here. Sometimes it might be, if you're way over here, sometimes it could be easier just to select these verts and hit F just to get your camera to orbit a little bit quicker than panning, what I was pretty much doing before. So we'll extrude, shift right click, merge collapse, merge to center. Same thing. We'll reset the pivot. We'll hold down V, get it right there, scale, scale flat. We'll go ahead and take this here, this edge here as well. We'll do a wide bevel, and then we could just take these guys here and these guys here and do another bevel like this. Last thing that I want to do is actually pull these buttons out. So I'll take this here. And anytime you have bevels, selections can be a little bit trickier. That's why I like to just grow my selection from this point. Now what I can do is just go in here and push out. So we could just reset the pivot. And then we'll push out just to match pretty much the depth of those other buttons. Moment of truth here. Let's go ahead and give this piece a new material. It's going to be a blend. That's fine. We can close this back out. We'll go to 3 mode here. We'll hide the wireframe. And I think this looks pretty good. No pinching on this curved surface. Looks like we did forget to add a holding edge here. It's no big deal. So we'll take this guy here, a wide bevel, 2 divisions, and then we do a bit of a tighter bevel here towards the back. Three mode again, and that looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to keep this simple, even though this object's not perfectly symmetrical. I'm just going to call it like it is. His main focus was getting pretty much that radial detail. So what I'm going to do here is just give it one extrusion here, just to give it a little bit more compression. Jump to the top. We'll go ahead and extrude right about to the halfway mark. Let's go ahead and give this quick panel line here on the top. So I'll scoop all these faces here. I'll do an extrude. I'll give this guy an offset, like so. I'll take these faces here, hit delete, take all these verts, and then just snap to a border edge here, scale flat. We'll take these edges here, and then we'll have to scoop the ones on the bottom as well. We'll bevel this out slightly just to give it that nice little panel line. We'll scoop these up here and then add this to that selection. Give it one extrusion here and give it a very small offset. And that's going to kind of give it a holding edge on this side. And then we can go ahead and extrude one more time. Give it some thickness down. And we could add 3 divisions, and that's going to take care of the holding edges on the inside. Anytime that you extrude near a symmetry line, you have to get rid of these polygons here. So for that, we'll jump back to the top. I'll go ahead and drag marquee here and then just deselect everything. And you see that we have the smaller faces selected there. And now we can just take this and we'll just scale flat. So I'm going to take these verts here, reset my pivot, and just make sure that it's right here on the world. One thing you can do is just kind of push off, and if you hold down X, you can make sure that you're actually snapping to the grid here. So now, when we do our mirror in the world, we won't have any gaps. So make sure that combine with original is on, and we'll hit mirror. And there is our finished MP3. And whatever details you had here, there's actually less details here, but you will build it the same exact way where you take one modular piece, duplicate it here, kind of place it. And obviously, you know, if you didn't have that much detail here, some reduction could be done. But I'm going to call this done. So let's go ahead and bring the original mesh here. I'll hit H to unhide it. Move it off to the side, and you see that, you know, he was struggling here with these cylindrical details, most likely due to booleans. So yeah, I'm happy how this came out. Everything looks clean. We don't have any major pinching, which is always a good thing. Wireframe looks good as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks, and watching another Maya 3D modeling tutorial. I really appreciate your time. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Drop a like in the video and let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Until we meet again, folks, I will catch you next time.